Yo, welcome to the Unplugged podcast. That's Unplugged with 3Gs, where we know a little bit of everything and a whole load of nothing. My name is Izu. You can find me at Izu the Mulatto on Twitter and Instagram. You can send your angry DMs there and I will not read them. In the studio today, we've got Nelly.
Yo.
What are you saying?
Yeah,
Back again. Everyone's favourite feminist, Asha.
Of course.
And a new guest in the studio today. No, how you been?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm alright. Now today I wanted to kick things off with let's say the turbulence that's been going on in the Middle East. Now not recently, even last week, I believe on Monday, the United States opened the embassy in Jerusalem. And essentially they've been trying to do this for years. So what's happened is, right, this has been going on since, I want to say, the late 90s, where every 6 months the president signs a waiver that basically says that we're not going to open the embassy in Jerusalem just yet because of obviously the unrest. Israel are claiming Jerusalem to be their capital. Palestine are claiming Jerusalem to be their capital. But the mad thing was that this embassy opened on the day of Nakba. Did I say that right? No.
Yes.
What is it?
It's the catastrophe when Israel declared their state, and there was kind of a movement between Palestinians against Israel creating their state. There was the first, which is the Nakba, and then there was the second one as well.
There was two?
Yeah, there was two.
Matt, I didn't even know that.
So one in 1947, if I'm correct, and then one in 1967.
That was after the creation of Israel and then the 5-day war or something?
Yeah, the 6-day war between the Arab states, yes.
I can't see, that's my GCSE history right there.
Ones.
You don't know. But yeah, did you man see what happened in the news though? Or like how like clued up to you what was happening?
I know nothing. I'm essentially jumped now.
Yes, I did. I have been reading a few news headlines. There was protests by Gaza citizens, and Israel there was a clash between them. I think around 50 people died, including children, which I think is a bit crazy to kill children over protests, but
were they targeting children specifically or what?
I don't think they were targeting children specifically. I think their argument was they needed to protect the border. They needed to protect the border between Gaza and Israel.
Protect them from children.
I
Man, but it's crazy though.
Yeah, which is, I personally think it's not a very valid argument because Israel has never really declared what their borders are exactly. The borders have been changing since Israel was declared as a state. The borders changed from the first catastrophe when Israel was established as a state until today. The borders have been changing. If you simply just Google the map of Israel, you can see about the different periods of time where the settlements have grown, the borders have changed. So them saying we're protecting the border is not exactly, I believe, is a valid argument because the borders are not actually...
what's the actual border?
What is the border?
I mean? Yeah, it's crazy, man. You can't be killing children out here. That's a bit wild.
And I think as well, another argument would be that I think citizens should have the right to protest if they believe a government is... That's the basic right of any citizen of any state.
But what if the protest is going out of hand? Like, what if it's becoming violent?
But I don't think it was a violent protest. I wasn't there, but from headlines, it was meant to be a peaceful protest. And I think it has to do definitely beyond America opening their embassy in Jerusalem. It has to do with them demanding their rights. It's a bigger picture. I think people just look at they're protesting because of the opening of the US embassy.
Because I won't lie to you, from my point of view, that's where it kicked off. It was I just found out that so America opened an embassy in Jerusalem. So I was like, all right, cool. So what happens next? And the next thing I know is that there's 50 people are there, 2,000 people injured. And I was thinking, we're for an embassy.
I understand how it would look to the West because this is what makes headlines. If you think about it, Palestinians protest because of a US opening their embassy in Jerusalem. But it kind of takes, headlines like this take away the context of Palestinians been protesting for years, and there's been protests every couple of years over them demanding their rights. It is a way bigger issue than just the US opening their embassy in Jerusalem. Palestinians get discriminated against. There's borders everywhere. There's checkpoints that they can't get to schools, they can't get to universities. Sometimes students have exams that they can't go attend because there was a checkpoint, and then an Israeli soldier says you cannot pass.
And wait, so how about, because obviously don't the US declare Jerusalem as like the capital of Israel now or something. Is that linked to the embassy being open?
I think
That's
it's
what
not.
I saw.
The Palestinians declare Jerusalem as their capital,
Yeah.
and Israel declares Jerusalem as their capital.
Has it
So
always
I
been
think,
like that? Or?
Yeah, it's always been like that. If I'm not mistaken, I think Jerusalem is protected by the UN.
Okay. Yeah.
If I'm not wrong.
No, I think it's under the Israeli protectorate, but initially it was UN. Like it was. Again, you're really stretching my GCSE in history knowledge here, innit? But I believe that after the Balfour Declaration, there was a split between what was Israel and what was Palestine, but there was a region of like neutrality that was controlled by the UN.
Yeah, which was
that linked Jerusalem to the coast, basically. But then after, the first war between the Arabs and the Israelis basically took all of that, took the West Bank, took the Golan Heights, and then the Sinai, which
like,
is the
Sinai
desert
region.
which is the desert right next there. That was controlled by Egypt, I believe. But yeah, I can't lie to you though. There's one thing that I've learned from history and from personal experiences, that Arabs are stubborn as fuck.
You know what? I'm not gonna. There's a few Arab girls, they are on me.
We were
bro,
literally
they're on fire.
talking about
I would
that when I
definitely say
saw.
I'm stubborn. Definitely.
Yeah.
Because even after all this time, you would think that it would have it would have like died out or like chilled out a little bit, but it's been going for like what 70 odd years or something.
Yeah.
Crazy
But
like
I
that.
think that's a good thing.
It is a good thing because I think it's not just about the Palestinians that are in the West Bank and the Palestinians that are in Gaza. There's Palestinians as well that live in Israeli territories, and their rights are not equally as valid as an Israeli like
Well, you
citizen
can
that's
just,
Jewish.
if you just go online, you see all the videos about like Palestinians just like walking down the
Yeah.
streets, and you've got all these soldiers being like very violent towards them. I saw one a few weeks ago of this child that was being like dragged away, and I was like, what the fuck? So
Yeah, and I think as well, like, just them saying that they're like a democratic state, which they are established as a democratic state by many, many countries. I think just the simplest thing of having the right to protest, like, shouldn't be that much of an issue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, you have the right to protest when you believe something is
Quick,
as
before
long,
we
of
continue,
course.
just for the viewers know, like, where you from, no?
I'm originally Palestinian.
Jeez, gang.
Jeez,
Squad.
gang.
I have a little bit of a mixture of like different Middle Eastern countries, but this is why I'm really, really passionate about the Palestinian issue. And I feel, yes, it has been going on, and I think it just shows that it's been going on for many, many years, that the issue hasn't been resolved, because if it has, then there wouldn't be that many people like protesting all the time every several years.
But I also feel like because usually when things like this happen, you have like other countries, like the UN will intervene, Britain will intervene, America will intervene, but it's kind of not within their interest to do so.
No, they have. They've always backed Israel.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But then if you think about it, like, of course Britain's going to back Israel because Israel was essentially created by Britain, and if they look at it, like, they would have to admit that what they did was wrong, sending all these, like, just giving all this land to these Jews, irrespective of the fact that this is people's homes and it already belongs to someone else. Then they'd have to be like, okay, we fucked up. What we did was wrong, and you can have your land back. But it's all about like accountability. Britain aren't really notorious for that.
And I think as well within the Arab states, there's always a lot of criticism with like other Arab nations of why they don't do something, and I think it's because they don't have enough power.
They haven't got the actual
They don't have
resources to do anything. So do you think that some Arab like countries, they want to fight back but they can't?
Oh, they did twice.
Yeah, they did.
Right.
There was a war. They didn't win it.
Twice.
I feel
that's what I'm saying. The Arabs are stubborn, innit? Like they will just.
And I think as well, like I don't think most, I would say most, not all, but most Arab countries, you're not allowed to go to Israel, even though there's a lot of Palestinians that live in Israel. Like, you cannot have your passport stamped with an Israeli stamp, just as them as like a solidarity between, like, we do not recognize Israel.
I think that's crazy because I don't want to say like the Palestinians were there first because I'm not really too educated on that, but just in a sense that like you got a country created and then Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. If they were there first, yeah.
I mean,
No,
you
because
have to be educated. That's not what we're here for.
Yeah. No, trust me, because like I remember in RE, because they're talking about like the long war between like
I never learned about any of this.
That's all.
Keeping in
At
mind, I
all.
haven't learned any of this either.
Nothing.
The only
Right.
reason I know this is because of my own personal research. Even though I
Yeah.
went to I
But
went to a school in the Middle East,
Yeah.
this was not taught.
Oh,
I
okay. 'cause-
didn't know
that's
about this
racism.
until a year ago when I was like, no, okay, you keep talking about Israel and Palestine.
okay,
What
yeah.
does that mean?
Because
Like,
for me, I remember in RE because we learned about how the Jews were promised land by God.
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
So obviously, when they're still
Old
waiting
Testament
for
scripture.
the Old Testament, don't know, but but they're still waiting for like their second coming or whatever. The Palestinians
Jews?
had already inhabited that place, so
Yeah, I think the Palestinians are basically saying they were the original Canaanites.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I think,
Yeah.
and then I would argue that
You are the original Canaanite.
Yeah, given that my grandparents were there before,
Yeah.
my great grandparents were there before Israel was declared as a state.
but I'm
And even I do want to say one thing, that there was of course there's Palestinians, Jews as well. There was a Jewish population in Palestine, the same way that there was a Christian population, the same way that there's a Muslim population. So all three main like religions were in Palestine. So it wasn't that it was just predominantly like Muslim or predominantly Christian.
Yeah.
But I'm confused because obviously you're talking about people like trying to say who was there first, but if Palestine is part of the Middle East and you have Arabs there already,
Yeah.
and then the Jews, from what I understand, like moved there after the World War when they were fleeing, like Germany. How can you deny that they who was in Palestine before Palestinians then, or was no one there?
No, basically what happened was, again, GCSE history here, bang bang. But basically prior to World War One, which is when the British took Palestine, it was the Ottomans. That's the one. It was the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
But at the time, like it was because it's part of the Ottoman Empire. There wasn't, and not that it was because of the Ottomans, but at the time there wasn't this inter-religious beef that was going on over Palestine. People just generally coexisted.
I think as well there was no exact borders as well.
Yeah.
So all of these countries, whether it's like Palestine to Syria to Lebanon, they were kind of considered like as one people.
It was the empire. That's the thing.
The same way that there was problems when the Lebanese state was established and the Syrian state was established. When they drew the border, it kind of separated a lot of families that when they drew the border. So like they would have families on one side and families on the other side, and they were having border control.
But
and
you can tell
So that's
that
what-
it wasn't natural because the borders, it's almost like someo's just got a
Yeah.
ruler,
Yeah,
like
just,
looked
like,
at a map
drawn-
and just
It's
drawn
the
a
same
route
thing with
because it's not.
Africa.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh,
literally.
Africa's the
Mad
worst.
straight
So I
lines.
think-
I'm
I
thinking,
think
like,
it's-
who
it's-
made
it has a lot of that because there was no exact border, so then that could be
So you're saying like you could have families on both sides and they couldn't see each other for a certain period of time, or is it like that now as well?
no, it's not like that now. But I mean, at the beginning, when the states were created, that was a problem as well because all of these countries were kind of considered as like one, as in the Levant countries were just one kind of area of countries, and then you
Where's
had
the
the,
Levant?
basically it's the countries of Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, and Jordan, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Okay.
They learn something new every day.
And then there was like the Arab Peninsula, which is all the Gulf states. And then you had like all of North Africa, and the same thing with North Africa. Like a lot of Algeria, Tunisia, and Morocco were kind of considered one country as well before the borders were drawn.
But Britain really fumbled the ball when it comes to this Palestine thing because, like, I think again after World War One happened, or towards the end, I mentioned the Balfour Declaration, but what happened was the British promised to the Zionists that were in the UK at the time to create a Jewish state for them, but then they also promised Palestine to the Arabs in the Gulf states for them, and then they also made an agreement with the French to divide up the Middle East between Britain and France. So they basically promised the same piece of land to three different people.
Yeah, I think just one thing I would like to make clear. I don't want to say that Palestinians do not declare Israel as a state, because they do like Palestinians that live in Palestine, both in Israel and in the West Bank and Gaza, do declare that Israel is a state. So these protests are not about them against Israel being a state. It's more about them wanting Israel to recognize their basic human rights that every single individual has. And I think that's what they're protesting for. They're protesting to be able to go to have an education, to have healthcare, to have the basic human rights that anyone should have, to live in dignity within their areas. I think the protest has to do more with that than them being against Israel being a state, because they've recognized it that Israel has been a state for 70, 80 years.
I seen this one meme of this old lady pointing the finger at an Israeli soldier saying, "I'm older than your state." I was laughing.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Why do you think like countries on the outside, particularly in the West, tend to back Israel more than they do Palestine?
I don't know, but I would say maybe first of all I would say economics, and I think as well as because as you said, like you were not taught about these things in school the same way I wasn't. I think education is key. When you learn, I think both sides of the argument, you would understand maybe why Israel's doing what it's doing, but then I think it's important to understand what the other side is as well before you make like a proper decision. Like I've had a lot of people say like, "Oh, you're Palestinian, I'm so against you. Like, look what you do to the Jews and things like that." And I'm just like, well, you haven't read both sides of the argument.
Yeah, people just be like reading headlines nowadays, not actually getting the full picture. So
that's a bit mad. Cool. So who saw the royal wedding?
Me.
Not me.
Why are you hating?
I mean, the way I had work to do, to be fair, but I just think it's one of them ones. I'm not actually interested in the royal family, so
not at all. Not even in the slightest.
No, I'm just not interested in the slightest.
Don't care.
I just don't care. Like I get why some people do watch it and it's all fun. It just don't interest me.
I can't lie to me, you're in the same boat.
But
I went to the gym.
Yeah, no, but you get what I mean. But in the same breath, I was on Twitter and my whole timeline was just
full of. Do you know what it was? Yeah.
Everything.
Alright, here's the thing. Like I didn't care about watching the royal wedding at all until I started seeing the memes of the pastor. It was the black pastor. I'm thinking, bro, there's a black pastor in the church.
He went on for so long. It was like 15, 20. Because I didn't care about the royal wedding either.
Right,
I only went because my nan wanted to like have a celebration, so she invited all our family onto her boat, so that we could like watch it and then like celebrate.
A boat?
I know.
Her boat.
I asked the same question. I actually got a boat.
I know. And I'm thinking, no, it was real nice. I was, for real, like you should have seen all the other people that were there. I was like, damn.
Wait, where was this boat?
So who's my husband?
I swear you said you went already.
I was looking through your Snapchat and I'm just like, is she on a boat? I'm like, what is she doing?
Yeah, it was by like we could hear the royal wedding from the boat. It was I got the station to Twyford and it was like 5 minutes to the drive to my nan, like where it was docked, because we couldn't go out because they were only insured for 10 people. There were 15 of us, and I didn't care. The whole time I've been like, oh, I'm only going, it's an excuse to get drunk and like eat food. But like we did watch it, and I was just, they all really cared, and I was like, I don't. And I was on the phone to my mum the night before, and she's like, don't start talking politics, Asha. We don't want to hear any of like...
They already know. You see, they know from the podcast.
Episode 1,
I only watched it because I thought everyone else was going to be talking about it. So I kind of wanted to know like what went on. So that it could be like a topic of conversation.
Like,
so I don't feel like left out.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, because it was literally, I just kept seeing memes of this black guy. I'm thinking, bro, like I'm in the gym, swiping through the TL, I'm just seeing black guy, pastor. I'm thinking, like, really? Like, what's he saying that is so mad? And I didn't watch it, but I went and watched the highlights, like Match of the Day team.
I was going to say the highlights, you know? Yo.
Yeah, there was a highlights video, there was a highlights like show after that went on for an hour, which I can't lie to you, I didn't watch the whole thing, I didn't manage to film it, but still, and it was mad because he's there just talking about slavery and Martin Luther King, and you have the Queen. The royal family just sitting like music. I'm thinking, bro, this is tense.
For real, man.
Did you see the memes about Harry on his stag do at the strip club when he like has to realise all the money he's putting in these strippers' underwear has his grandma's face on it?
Oh,
I didn't see that. Oh my god!
I never did. That's hilarious because you know Harry's been in strip clubs. He's been a wild.
Yeah, Harry's a what? Harry's that Nazi jacket as well.
Hey, listen,
brother.
he's a wild.
He's doing
I remember that one time he was doing the madness in Vegas, and they caught him like they took a naked picture of him, and he was just holding like a cushion. I was thinking, bro,
he's living his best life.
This guy,
but
you're like, I want to hang with this guy.
But we need to talk about David Beckham though, because he was
and George Clooney. We clap every time George Clooney.
No, but honestly, like that suit and like I was like, wow.
He was fresh.
I can't lie to you. He's like, I don't understand. He
Wait,
you
how
just see
old
he
is
just
he?
pulls off a suit.
My man's from Leytonstone.
I know.
He's from Ends,
He's from
bro.
down the road.
He is repping the set hard.
And it's mad, like you just see me and you see everyone wearing their suits, you're thinking, alright, cool. And you see David Beckham wearing a suit, like that is how you wear a suit.
It's crazy. It's actually wild.
It was really impressive.
Yeah.
But you know, I noticed though, like more than anything else, there's a huge generational gap between obviously the older generation and younger generation. Maybe it's just because it's our demographic, but like most people, I won't say most people, there was a huge amount of people that just shared our sentiment. Like, you know, it was on TV and it was just a huge event, so we watched it out of curiosity, not because we actually care about, you know, too much about the royal family, but deep it. Do you know how much money they spent on this wedding?
That's
It
what
was
I'm
like 48
looking at.
million.
Like
That is
32
wild.
million, like what the
Yeah.
figure that I checked.
Yeah, but
32.
so I saw the figure like 48 million, roughly, but around 42 million of it was just for security.
Listen,
If
I
that
thought-
was how
I
much
thought-
they spent
I
on
thought
security.
the 45, I think that was in dollars.
Okay,
Wait,
cool,
what?
cool,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
in dollars,
Okay.
in dollars.
Because I've
Okay,
got
that
it
makes
up
sense.
here and it says 40,
Alright.
45 million but
Yeah,
in dollars.
but either
so-
way, like millions and millions. You get what I mean?
listen,
But then
don't let
one thing-
anybody lie to you and tell you we don't have money to spend on shit anymore. They spent 32
Grenfell.
million on a wedding.
I was looking at this and I was
Bro.
like, so the victims of Grenfell, which was the government's fault, the state's fault, still don't have homes.
we
Still-
got political on the line.
Yeah, and like the homeless people outside, like that live there, were being moved. They were able to stay in B&Bs for like the night or a few days, so that they were out the way, so it didn't look bad on camera. They were taking all the homeless people's things, and then you were having all these people just come and camp out where the homeless people were staying. Like, what's the difference?
Such
And
a
they
I
shame.
can,
saw that,
so they
yeah.
can't afford to actually, change the lives of these homeless people for the better, but they can afford to put them in hotels.
32
Okay.
million.
32 million
Imagine-
on the whole thing,
The
or
whole-
just
the
on the
whole
whole
thing.
thing. So let's say security was like 25, yeah. And what kind of security did they have, fam?
Bro, they had ICE security.
Snipers
Deep it.
on deck, fam. You get wigged off real quick.
You know, it's Call of Duty AC-130.
Yo,
going
yo,
on.
yeah.
There were a lot of helicopters like going around,
Mm.
I could see them from the boat.
But I'm telling you right now, yeah, this, and like, it's just the fact that she's mixed race that
She's a proper lighty though.
she's not even, I thought she was white. I won't even lie.
So-
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. That mixed race is very, very like diluted.
Diluted.
You get what I mean? Like,
But then we were
looking at
talking,
you, bro.
is
Hey,
her mum
chill.
actually like black African American, or is her mum mixed race and then she's just turned out
I think her mom looks
super
mixed race.
What? No, I thought her mum was black.
no,
and
I think
then
her mum's
dad-
actually black.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh.
thought. But then you can have it on all different spectrums. You can be mixed race and be dark. You can be mixed race and essentially look
Yeah.
white. So, but there was loads of drama and like spectacle around like her mum being alone.
Yeah, I
And
think that's
her-
wild though. Like they bought like some of the people from Suits because
Yeah,
Legacy
I
Suits,
saw
yeah, like-
them in the crowd.
yeah, she didn't have a family with her. I think that's kind of weird.
And her dad was in hospital as well, which is why he didn't go. But
Her dad
apparently,
had that cardiac arrest or something.
Do you not find that a bit fishy though? Like,
What? That they
like
just gave
yeah, like the
I mean,
wedding's
I
coming
don't-
up and then like the dad like, oh
that's
no.
enough to stress anyone out, isn't it?
Illuminati.
Like any normal wedding, and then like, oh wait, no, you're getting married to the British royalty. Like, it's not really surprising.
Yeah.
But what happened with like the family that made it so that? Because I just had that
chills on
chills
the
in the
mic, chills on the mic.
house, chills in the house.
Man,
Wagwan, Mr. Nelly Nixon. Mind
what's
you,
this, bro? Where you been?
Oh,
You're a bit late.
Black man timing.
Yo.
Black man timing.
honestly, you know, Mugiwara no Luffy.
Luffy.
Them things.
But yeah, no. So what were you saying
Because
anyway?
apparently it was like, because the mum married into like the white guy, and apparently their family, the white family, was really, really racist towards the mum and then the daughter. So then, like, they ended up getting divorced, and
Yeah.
like the stepsisters were really,
I heard about that.
yeah, that's kind of like vaguely what I heard, that they were really like nasty and bullying not only Meghan but her mum too, which is why.
Wait,
they
is she
kind
an
of
only
been-
like? Is she the only like child of her mother?
I think so, and I think the rest is step siblings that were like really not very nice, which is why apparently they've like written articles and books about them to like stab them in the back kind of
Articles and
thing.
books.
Yeah. No, that's what I've heard. I think. But
That's
like,
a bit mad because I mean I saw all the stuff in like obviously saying about. Okay, I won't lie to you, I did it. I just saw the tweets and the memes and all that, and Instagram posts saying about how this girl, you know, betrayed by her family, this and that.
Well, that's what I think the betrayal is, that they like went behind her back and like kind of wrote all these books and articles about her.
But I still don't understand the whole fascination though. Like, why is it such a big deal
What,
that
the royal wedding?
she's now like beating a royal?
I mean, like for some people, they think it's groundbreaking that like a non, it's like diluting, you know, the royal blood because she is black or mixed race. And
I think it's more
Biracial.
no, I think it's more about, I don't know, but I'm guessing it's more about them always like marrying elite.
Yeah,
I think
guess,
it's more. I think it is more to do with that maybe than.
but
No, they always
what's
keep it in the
what's
family,
Wales
don't they?
right?
Yeah,
No,
like,
They
you know,
always,
yeah. So
I swear they're all like second cousins and them
yeah, so
things.
they got like,
Like,
German in
yeah,
them. They got
yeah,
some
that-
weird
that's-
because they'll be like marrying some like.
I think
what's,
that's more
the
groundbreaking than
what's the Duchess
the
called?
fact it's someone different,
Wales.
and it's someone from a like different class.
What do you mean?
William's wife. What's her name again?
You know-
Kate.
William-
Yeah,
yeah,
Kate
Middleton.
Kate.
Yeah, she's unnecessary, bro.
No,
No one
but,
cares.
but
She's
she's
paying, I won't
a
actually.
commoner. She's a commoner.
Yeah,
was
but
just
no,
from, like,
but then you
no,
got.
she is. She
Her
is.
family
She is
owns so
common.
much land.
She's a common person though.
No,
she's
she's a
not
commoner.
royal. She's
Define
not a
common.
royal.
She's like
As in, she's not
literally-
part of the royal family.
Because
Oh,
I know,
okay, yeah,
okay,
but I
common.
meant that
She
is
is
elite.
common as it is.
Alright,
No,
so-
no,
so
but
I have to
it's
just
not
do this
about
in the voice,
elite.
but,
Like it's not like
She
being in the
literally
royal.
is very like if you look at
Chills
like
is back.
what's it called? Big up Chills. Obviously, I didn't
Gang,
do my yo today, but I'm back here. I'm late. Black man timing things. But as I was saying, if you look at Kate Middleton, she was like from like a like she went. What was that?
She went to university.
Yeah, that
no?
Yeah, but she went
university.
to the
Was it-
same uni as
Yeah,
yeah,
Baz.
it was the
Yeah.
same uni, but it's a high.
What
these
uni
man
is it?
are.
It
I
was
swear it was some-
Edinburgh or something.
Oh, that's
I
like
think it was
top
like
10,
St.
top
I
20.
swear it was
Yeah.
like St Andrews or Edinburgh or something
Yeah,
mad.
someplace in Scotland.
These man been doing private school their whole life.
Yeah, private.
Megan ain't been living that life.
But that's what I'm just trying to explain to Noor is that like regardless of how rich you are or like what circles you run in, if you're not part of the royal family, you are a commoner.
Hey, listen,
So
Kanye
it
was
doesn't
running
matter
themselves. I see
how
pictures of him and
rich
Prince.
you are or
And
anything. You're a common person because you don't have that
Yeah.
like royal blood.
Yeah, I feel you, but I'm just saying like define common in the sense where.
Yeah, common.
Because
is
obviously
like
I class
us.
myself as common, innit?
Yeah.
I mean,
We're
do
just
too.
some
We're making
hood
that
niggas
dough.
out here. We're some hood niggas.
You're making that
Hood
dope.
niggas. But
Use
yeah,
that
and
word.
then people were also saying because obviously Princess Diana was like a huge activist and a lot for like equality and stuff, and she was kind of pushed out of the family because she loved a brown skinned man. So then the fact that her son is then going and marrying a brown skinned
Keeping the
woman,
tradition.
She-
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
really
She
like
did a lot
following
of.
her
She did a
legacy.
lot of.
Next.
She did a lot
Yeah.
of things that like was like sort of breaking the mold in the way she behaved, and I see that a lot in Harry. Like from time. All right, you see Harry. He'll calmly be in the Caribbean catching a wine. You know, he'll be doing all
I
sorts
can
of
fully
fun.
see him doing that, you know.
Yo.
He's
eating
invited to all the
foods,
barbecues, you know,
Racing with,
all the
racing
all the
with you-
cookouts.
Racing with you,
Them
saying, "Well,
ones.
may I actually continue? Like this guy is he's just the guy. He really is the guy. So it's really nice to see this
He
guy.
tried
kid
some of
doing
that
it.
jollof rice and was
Yeah,
like,
nah,
I ain't going
you see
back.
that meme where he's just there like that?
Yo, that meme
That's
is
him.
amazing.
That's
That
it.
was the moment he knew a black
Hey,
woman.
is that, is
Oh.
that the meme about the salad?
Yeah, that one.
I can't lie, no looks mad confused
Yeah,
right now.
Ellen lost. Like this was
You should
like.
have heard her before when it came to Palestine. Now we're talking about.
Oh,
Yeah,
did you do the Palestine
What's your
thing?
take on
Oh, yeah,
Palestine,
we
Alex?
did.
Mr. Arab.
Oh wow! Without me, okay.
I mean, that's what happens when you
that's
turn
when
up
get-
late.
when you get late, yeah.
You get me?
Why you got
You
something to add,
didn't- you
Alex?
missed-
No, it's not. It's
Okay,
not. It's
then
not that
let's not
deep.
go
I've
back.
got.
What do you mean it's not that deep?
Oh,
Just because it touches the wound.
Hey,
Just
what?
because it's touching the wound for
Hey,
you.
bang
Don't
him, bang
worry.
him.
I
It's
can't
not.
lie to you.
It's not that deep for me. You know. Remember
the
what we
chopper.
said last week? Yeah. Your problem may not. It may not be pressing to me.
I love that. I love that, my
you
guy.
know
No, but I would
I like
want to
that, my
say,
guy.
I would want to say
No,
that because it might not be present to you. Does not
No,
mean that it's not.
no.
However, in the same
Yeah.
breath, Alex, though, as much as I agree with that, you
can't
have to
say
take
it's not
into
that deep.
account. No. But what I'm saying is,
But we
he
do
can-
live in a globalized world
Wait,
that
let-
everything
let-
affects
let
us.
Noel
we
finish-
discussed
let
this
Noel
all
finish talking.
last week
Nelly,
with the
Nelly.
thing. We all discussed like with the problems and all that, and we came to that conclusion.
Yeah, no.
But like obviously, when I say it's not that deep, I say it's not that deep to a lot of things.
I mean,
so,
you're
yeah.
mad outspoken, my guy. No, but I feel you in terms of like, you know,
Yeah, no.
I feel like everyone has an opinion.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be said in public. So, for example, obviously I know I know you know the situation is deep,
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, in the same breath, it's not important to you, and that's fair
Oh,
enough.
it is
But
important.
okay,
but, like, I'm saying
okay,
it's
cool.
not that deep.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you to go back in.
Yeah.
You know what I
know you
mean?
get the
Like,
thing. Yeah.
we're here
But-
to talk about next groundbreaking issues and all that. We've covered it.
Fair.
Let's continue with the life.
Fair
you know?
dues, Luanga.
Man like chills. Yeah. Boom.
Chili.
So royal wedding.
Back
What
to that.
we like talked about, you know, the funding and the aspect of it. What do you think? What's your take? Of
About
the
how
royal
much they
wedding.
spent on the royal wedding.
Oh, I didn't really look into
So
that
basically,
then-
stuff.
yeah.
Like, I just know taxpayer money's being spent. So
How do you
I
feel
didn't get
about
no
that?
bank holiday. So for why? For why?
You thought he was paying for a bank holiday?
Why do you
Like, give us a bank holiday. Give us a little, 1-2 day of relaxation. That at least our money's being spent nicely for that.
Alright, okay, so then why do we get a bank holiday for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle and not one for Kate and William?
Wait.
Because that wedding was side.
No, wait.
That wedding
wait,
has
Kate-
more
no,
to do. That's got more
Kate
importance
and William,
than
we
this
got a
one.
bank holiday for that
Yeah.
one.
No, we didn't.
We did. I swear we did.
We didn't, because where is it?
No. I mean, when
lost
it
it.
happened.
Oh, when it
When it
happened.
happened, we got a bank holiday for that.
What year was that again?
It must have been like
Ooh,
3-4 years ago.
No.
But we
more.
did
They've
have a
got
bank
old
holiday because I
children.
remember this. I was there just revising because this was like GCSE or A level times. I'm just there like,
Nah, I think it
watching
was
it.
A levels.
Man said
Yeah,
3-4 years
one of
ago, it was
those two.
GCSEs.
Accelerated
I'm
class.
an old brother, innit, man. But yeah, it was. I just remember we had a bank holiday, so it was an extra day free. We didn't get that this time. I obviously understand like William's like first in line, but he's still of like Harry's still of royal blood, like
He's my
They're-
guy. He's my guy.
exactly.
Man.
The thing is, though, when
Put
you look
respect
at
on
it,
his name.
you'd rather chill with like Harry.
I
than you
would
would-
rather
You know what
chill.
I'm saying?
William's hairline is dry.
I feel like that is the biggest
It's
con.
gone.
I feel so sorry.
It's
Because I can't lie to you,
gone.
he had good hair as a kid.
She
fam.
was tricked. She was tricked. Your man them be saying like, oh, take her to the swimming pool first date. She needs a refund. Did you see that man when
How-
he was
wait,
in uni?
Wow.
How so? How so?
No, I think
but
Harry's
why
losing
you
a
bringing
bit of hair
swimming pool
too.
here?
No,
I-
you know,
Yeah,
you
but-
know,
yeah,
but
don't-
you know
but it's
how-
calm though,
that is a
innit?
bit wild.
No, you know
That is a
how-
bit wild, my
no, you
friend.
know how
That is
guys
a bit
say,
wild.
like,
This is
take
nature.
on-
This is nature and these things like you're going on about swimming. Makeups is not nature's.
Oh, he's getting onto the girl
Oh,
then.
no.
That's
really
still
isn't.
not
I
right.
feel
though.
I think it's just like one thing if like when girls say anything about boys' hairline, but you guys say everything about a girl.
It
her
wasn't
hair,
meant to be that
her
deep.
skin,
It wasn't meant to be that
everything.
deep.
Hey,
What, make the girls make up again?
I was making a joke.
but
I was just saying it's
we're
funny how
basically
much
saying,
he's
yeah.
changed from when he was in uni to like what he is now. It wasn't that deep.
Why are you getting defensive? Chills.
I'm not
Controversial
defensive.
chills?
I'm not defensive.
No.
I know me. When my hairline's gone, I'm rocking this long ass beard.
The Rick Ross thing, innit?
Oh my gosh, I'm
That
looking.
Muslimic
I'm
beard.
looking.
Yeah,
that
that's-
Muslimic beard. I'm looking like one sexy buffalo.
Oh,
That's
man
what
said
I'm
buffalo.
looking
I
like.
like to hear, fam.
So
You pick every animal and you choose a buffalo.
it could be worse. I could be doing monkey like a H&M thing, but you know,
Oh no.
them ones.
Or be that
Keep
bird
it
on the on your flag, innit? Was that bird again?
Oh, forever.
Uganda.
Forever doing that, man. Hey, I'm just putting it out there. It's not the Nando's symbol.
It is the Nando
It's not
symbol.
the
It
Nando's
is,
symbol.
mm.
That's all I'm saying, you know. But
Just want to give you a quick reminder about our Spotify playlist. If you go on Spotify and search the Unplugged podcast, that's Unplugged with 3Gs, you find a playlist there curated by myself and by Kofi of your favorite summertime jams. I know you will enjoy it. Also, if you go on Instagram and follow Studio House P, you can stay up to date with what we're doing with the podcast and know about future episodes before they happen. You're welcome in advance. Now, let's get back to the show.
Still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. Peace, innit?
big
I'll
up
catch
to
you.
the
Nelly-
captain.
Nelly-
I'll see
Captain
y'all
of
work
the
next
b-
week.
Nelly
Hey,
to bounce one
big up
time,
to the
innit?
captain of the bandana crew, Nelly Nixon.
Safe, bro.
Hey, leader things
I
and
like
that.
the outro.
Hey,
All right, in a bit, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
We got Kofi in the studio now. What are you saying, Kofi?
I'm good. How's everybody doing? I'm good.
Good. I want to run this. There's this very interesting interview by Spike Lee. Who knows who Spike Lee is?
I have no idea.
Actually, I
I've
don't know.
heard of it.
You
Spike
guys should
Lee's
really know,
he's
man.
basically he's a movie director, right? And his latest movie is about the Ku Klux Klan.
Okay.
Have you seen the trailers to that?
No.
You
I haven't heard
You
about
guys.
this.
Yeah.
are
Sounds
slacking.
guys.
I feel like
To
I've
be
been in a
honest,
little
all I've
bubble.
been doing is watching anime, so I've been in my own.
Izzy, why
little-
have you
bubble,
sent this to
like-
me?
I'm
But-
going to send this
alright.
to you very promptly. It's basically the movie is basically about a black guy who goes undercover in the Ku Klux Klan.
I've heard about
that
this.
sounds way
True story.
That
Yes,
sounds-
no,
Is it
I've
true story
read.
as well?
No, I've read
Wow.
about this. I've read about this guy.
What's the name of it? Is it just that these won't know? I know,
Yeah, Black Klansman.
but yeah, that's it.
Black Klansman.
This is
sounds
his
like some
interview
Django
at because
vibes, man.
the movie premiered at the Cannes Film Festival,
Yeah.
and then at this festival, obviously the directors do like their little here and that, their little interviews and that, and this is what he had to say about Trump specifically.
We have a guy in the White House. I'm not going to say his name. It was a defining moment. It was not just for Americans, for the world. And that mother was given a chance to say we're about love and not hate. And that mother did not denounce the mother Klan, the alt-right, and those Nazi mother. It was a defining moment, and he could have said to the world, not the United States, that we were better than that. The so-called mother cradle democracy, that's some bullshit. United States of America was built upon the genocide of Native people and slavery. That is the fabric of the United States of America. As my Brooklyn brother Jay-Z would say, facts.
Facts. So what do you guys have to say about that?
I mean, I agree with everything he's saying.
Obviously, he's referring to the protest that happened in America, where I believe initially it was an alt-right protest, and then
Was it the one where like them guys?
They
got
came with the
beat up?
tiki torches, and it was like
that one
a
where there's, like, bare
KKK. It was like
images
a KKK march, and they
Yeah.
were like
Yeah.
coming for people. And at the end of it, Donald Trump said there are very fine people on both sides.
you missed
as in-
you missed a big point though, because what happened was there was a counter protest, basically
Yeah.
protesting their
Yeah.
protest, and basically
Yeah.
violence broke out.
Yeah, it was that. That's
And
the
then
one I'm thinking
one
about.
of the like alt-right people hopped in his car, ended up driving over a bunch of the counter protesters and killed someone.
Yeah.
And then
a white
when
Wow.
when they asked the president, yo, like, what do you have to say about this? He said, oh, there's very decent people on both
both
sides.
sides.
They're
Like
very
this guy's a
very
bit
fine
mad.
Just
people.
running behind, words in the curtain. Literally,
Yeah.
it was terrible. People lost their lives. People were injured, brutally hurt. It's despicable, to be honest.
I think
But-
I'm glad that there's people like this to like speak out and speak the truth, because I think a lot of people are so afraid to say something. So having someone like this to say something that's important about this issue is great.
Yeah, and such a worldwide voice, because there's people who have said something, but they're just being ignored.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the media covered it last year where it happened, but they're just being ignored. And someone like this who could
Use
send
his
the message,
platform.
use his platform, his artistic platform, and send his message through a sort of intellectual lens, so other people can overtly and subtly understand it at the same time. Because sometimes when you throw stuff in people's
But
face,
don't you
they
find them
ignore it.
the way he said it was quite paradoxical,
In what way?
in that he said that the president had a chance to say that we're about love, we're about peace, we're about unity, and ended up calling him a motherfucker.
Yes, I do, but I think he's just fed up.
Maybe the
So
anger
he
gets
just wants
the
to
best
be
of
That's-
him.
raw and angry.
that's-
And
I think
his
sometimes
anger
when
just
you're
got out,
angry,
he doesn't really care.
It's like what I said in the previous podcast. How can you be having all these people doing these disgusting bad things to you? You're like mourning the losses, but you're still expected to be really nice to everyone. Like, when
It's
you're
not.
going-
It's just about being true. And if you're saying about we're not about violence, and then you be violent,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
I know, but
No,
I
no,
feel
that's true.
it is true. But then I feel like sometimes you can only get so far, and you get so fed up, and you just like you can't. Like there's just the way you.
Obviously, it
I'm
doesn't
not
work.
justifying it. I'm not justifying it, but I'm just saying. Like sometimes it just gets the best of
But
people.
if you're talking about like preaching love, and you do it all the time and it just doesn't work, it's like, well, I can't keep doing this because it's not doing anything. You
But
can't
that's
keep
my
being-
point though, because if you're about preaching love, then at some point you're gonna say, okay, I'm done with this. Fuck
Yeah.
this. I'm not gonna do this anymore. You don't say.
But you can kill them with kindness.
I can't lie to you. I don't think
That's
it's
not
being
the
very
same thing.
kind.
So
though,
that's
innit?
It's not being very
You're
kind.
either
That's not
Malcolm
the
X
same
or
thing.
Martin Luther King. You understand?
I'm definitely Malcolm X.
Yeah, I know you,
Team
Malcolm X.
Team Malcolm X, if anything, yeah.
I'm team both of them.
Like,
both
what
of
if I
them.
was to choose
Listen,
a
no,
way
wait,
By
wait.
any means
Before we
necessary.
go on to that, let's finish the Spike Lee
obviously,
point.
I was just adding
but
the point. But like,
Malcolm
yeah.
X and Martin Luther King were both radicals in their own way. That's what you know about them, and if you read about them, especially about Martin Luther King, he was a born radical throughout his career. He was a radical. It's only the small segments that the overwhelming majority of the world will see is he was the guy who preached so much love and so much joy, which is good and which I agree with. But he also was strong rooted in his beliefs, and he wouldn't have got to where he was without his strong. I'm not even going to call it radical because I don't like that word.
At the time, they were radical.
It's just
at the time they were
like
radical.
the thought of like
But
all
hey,
of them.
wait. But at the time they were radical, but they were just strong rooted and they didn't back down, and which is the right thing in my opinion. Of if they believed and stood for something,
Yeah, but
they
it's
didn't fall for
different
anything
that
else.
and just like being contradicting yourself.
No, I know. I was just saying that just so Alex knew, because he
So
said
we
I'm
can
team
teach
Malcolm
Alex.
X and he's
Is
not
that
team
what
Mark.
we're
No, it's
teaching
not. It's not a lesson.
Teach Chill's Day today,
It's
innit?
just my, just my opinion. With
No,
some,
I was just
some
I was
facts.
just saying in general. I just more aligned with like the thought process. Is it what was it?
Ideology.
Yeah, the ideology of like Malcolm X and all them guys. Like, is it Stokey Newton?
Stokey Carmichael.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Like all of these guys, I align more with their ideology. But that's it, really.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
What do you think about that speech then, Izzy?
Again, I thought like what he was saying, I can't like say he was wrong because again, factually he's correct. It's just the way he said it. Whenever I hear someone give me like try to convince me of a point, right? I'm always looking at what they're saying, how they're saying it, why they're saying it, right? And two of those things aligned apart from how he said it. Like that kind of showed a betrayal.
But I think another point that he was trying to make is in like the president has like a responsibility as the president to be like a fair person, and he is like a reflection of almost what is and what isn't permitted and what is tolerated in America. And I think the producer doesn't kind of have that same obligation because he isn't like as much of a reflection of America as the president. So
No,
I think I agree
think
with what Izzy was saying, because if you want to get your point across and you want to attract a lot more audience, you shouldn't have said the message
But
maybe
they're
in such an
not on
aggressive.
the
No,
same
I know,
level,
but
though.
I'm just saying, like, if you want to get your point across, you shouldn't have said it maybe in such an aggressive way. The same point I think I said earlier about how even the same thing with protests. If you want to gain like a lot of people's attention and you want people to like hear your issue, you shouldn't kind of portray it with aggression.
But
You'll
I feel
attract
like
a lot more audience if it was like peaceful and you're saying what you need to say
Well,
without
I feel,
being so
I feel
aggressive.
like a lot of times, like in the generation we live, like we sort of give attention to when someone's like sort of more aggressive and more.
But maybe
like,
this is
like
with
the-
one generation, the
yeah.
younger generation. But if you want his voice to go out to a lot more people, whether it's adults, whether it's older people, he should have portrayed it in
But
some way.
how
Because
many-
he's only
if he
attracting
approached it in a
such
if he
small
approached it in a peaceful way,
segments of
would
people.
he have gotten maybe this amount of attention for
No,
it?
he wouldn't have.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah, but I'm saying maybe the way he spoke about it,
But does
it's
that make
only
it right, though?
attracting.
That's
I'm not saying it's
only-
right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying
I
it's
think it
the
only
generation
maybe attracts
we're
like
in.
one
really,
segment
like,
of the of the generation. It doesn't attract as many as it could have.
And here's why I go along this line of argument is because it's the same thing when like those pro Second Amendment people in America say the solution to gun violence is more guns. It's
That's
the same.
stupid.
It's the,
Yeah,
but
that-
that's what I'm saying. It's the same argument as saying we're about fucking love and fucking peace. It's like bro, like pick one, innit?
Yeah.
No, but love and peace can still coexist together.
And violence. That's
No,
what I'm
but
trying to
there's
tell
always
you.
gonna be violence. Somebody's always not gonna be happy.
then-
Somebody's gonna be pushed to an edge or pushed to a because we don't live in an ideal world like that anymore.
but Izzy, it's like
And everybody has their own. Sorry to cut you, Asha. Yeah, everybody has their own thing that they want, and some people want different things and they're completely different. That's why we have a spectrum.
There's
of
light and there's
beliefs.
always shadow.
So, I do agree with what you guys saying that maybe he could have said it in a different way because it was very direct, very brutish, and very boisterous, but honest and true, and it was direct. And sometimes that's what people need for a wake-up call. People need for a, to be like, oh wow, what's he talking about?
If he had said, you know what, we're tired of this, we're tired of this bullshit, we're done with being,
But why does he have
being
to
in
say
the
that? Can't you
backseat.
tell?
I can, but that's the point, because how he said it and what he said didn't match up at all.
Yeah, I think
There was a
one other
disparity,
thing
a
is
little. Because you did have to listen quite hard to how he was saying it. That's just him potentially, I think, though, because on his delivery. But carry on.
I would say maybe you think that because of like your political like position, but if he's trying to attract someone that maybe knows not much about the issue, I don't think that's the way to approach it.
But the thing
maybe
is,
this is what we think because of what the knowledge that we know, because of our political like standpoint. But then to someone else that doesn't see it, we'll just look at him like, oh, look at him, he's being aggressive again.
the thing is, like, you can spend
It can fit the
most
stereotype
of
in a way.
Yeah, it
the
fits a stereotype.
action that happens is always so like people have been peacefully protesting for years and nothing happens. You can march in the streets and not cause any problems. You can make these speeches that are all about love and nothing happens. Like, there gets to a point where it's like, being nice doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't, because we've been doing it for years already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
but then
only way,
being violent
That is
confirms.
not violent.
No,
like,
I know.
the
But
thought
then like
process
the opposite of it, like being violent and being aggressive.
But that's the only way things change. That's the only way things change, because the majority of the time, when you're being nice, you're being too nice that they're like, well, we don't need to do anything because they're not forcing us to do anything. The only way you really force people to change is when you make a huge stand. And whether that's being violent, as in like on the streets, but not actually hurting anyone, like that's the only way things change. Because
Chills, what you saying?
like,
I was saying, like, to back up Ash's point, like, that's why I feel like for black people, us, like, today, like, I don't feel like we would have got to where we are now, even though things are not great, without, like, movements like the Black Panther, and we had to press, like, the issue. Like, sometimes there's only so much you can do peaceful, but, like...
I mean, even Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's my point.
Wait,
though.
can I say a point before
Go on,
you go on there?
jump in.
I was saying it not like back to Nor's point, not because of my political compass of why I said it was okay for him to say it in that way, even though it was could be slightly confusing or wasn't directly clear. I was just saying it on just knowing about what he's like and what Spike Lee is and what he stands for, and his other creative work has always been straight to the point, straight to the gun. I'm not trying to be here for everyone. I'm here for my people.
Yeah.
His films are always so centered on the struggles or on certain situations and how to get out of those situations. But what I'm saying is I don't think he is right now in this state wanting to include everyone. He just wants to put the message out there.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying he would have I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I'm saying he could have gotten out to a lot of more people or more political spectrum if he approached it in a different way.
I think that's what I'm saying as
the
well.
message he's putting across.
Like he could have, and I think it would have been a strong, maybe as you said, like, oh, people are fed up, like they're tired of no one listening to them. But his voice would have went out to a lot more people from a lot of different places if he approached it in a different way. That's all I was trying to say.
The message he's putting across, though, the people that you're probably talking about, they wouldn't be interested anyway.
That's
Like,
not necessarily because.
But that's what I'm saying. I said.
But guys,
the
I
way
think a lot
he
to
should have
missing the
approached
point.
it to try to change
Go on, then.
what people think that are not interested.
Let's go back to
The point is, if you hear that message, right, my initial reaction to what he said was that he doesn't believe what he's saying, because he's saying something, right? Like, it's like, you know, when
Love and
my mum used to say to me all the time, basically, you know, your words and your actions have to add up, and your actions mean I'll speak louder than your words, and all these sorts of stuff. Yeah, the difference between what was it, the Black Panther movement that you given as an example, Chills, is that the Black Panthers were about what they said.
True, yeah.
The Martin Luther King was about what he said.
Yeah.
Malcolm X changed what he said, but whenever he said what he did, his actions at the time always matched up to what he said. And my issue here is that I don't believe what Spike Lee's saying, because I think that, okay, it's not that I don't believe it, but I can just see that it's a very emotional and raw reaction to obviously what has happened. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, this is, you know, like, it's not a light thing to have. Imagine that's someone you know who's going to a protest and you see them getting run over on live TV and killed. Like, that's a serious thing, and especially if it's a struggle that you believe in. But again, maybe I'm just being super critical, but if you're delivering a message, right? Like Noor said, you have to deliver the message, right, in a way that is going to be, one, going to reach the largest audience possible, because obviously the more ears hear it, the better, right? And two, it has to be said in a way that's congruent with the message that's being given. Otherwise, like, I can't lie to you, you just sound confused.
But with what you're saying, it's like you're almost not giving any room for any, like, emotional any kind of emotion.
Expression.
And what you're kind of talking about is what people call like tone policing, where it's like if you're going to give a message across, you have to say it in a certain tone, so you can't have any room for like emotional outbursts, or like you can't be like distressed
Asha, what
or
you're
emotional.
saying, I 100% believe in that.
No,
100%.
I do, but it's just obviously he's spoken to the mother of the person that was killed. He's gonna be pissed off, and I understand that he's asking for from the president about, you know, love and compassion. He isn't necessarily giving that, but then it's like you give what you get. He was asking for. He might have come across in a different message.
Turn the other cheek. You got to be like Jesus in this building.
But he might have
Give
come up
7
with
by
this.
70.
He might have approached this film in a different way if the president had responded in a loving and compassionate way and
He's
condemned.
not 100%. He's not making these comments about Barack Obama. There's no way.
What you mean, like
They're two different presidents.
That's exactly it.
Two
Two different
people.
times.
But that's
two different
exactly it.
presidents.
It's not even the time. It's just they're two different.
And here's
two
the
different
thing, though, like,
ideologies
I don't
together.
like-
But you're right.
I don't like seeing people allow their emotions to get the better of them. Like to me,
I think
We
no.
are
But
human.
I know, I know,
that's
but
your
yeah, but it's. I think
prerogative.
it's
That's
so
how you-
silly. Like it doesn't make.
no,
any,
it's. I mean, I
me
get
and Asha
that,
had this
but it's
argument
just-
a couple of days ago.
Talking
Actually,
about irrational.
I'm speaking to the mic. Speaking to the mic.
I think I 100% agree with what Asha's trying to say and with what Izzy's trying to say. But again, it's
Pick one.
no. I mean, I get
Sitting on the fence here.
I get
Sitting on
both
the
points,
fence.
but then also
Humpty
it's just
Dumpty.
guys.
Come on. No, I'm joking.
Having a
Let
big
you
fall
speak.
now.
Chill. Let's speak. Go on.
But I'm saying as well, like he is like an important figure that's speaking out to a lot of people. So sometimes it's like, okay, actually no, never mind.
Carry on.
No,
No,
I'm not
I-
gonna say. Never.
Carry on.
Continue, please.
No,
We're
I
gonna give you time to
I
form your
forgot
point.
my point. It's fine. I'll try to
really
remember it.
did.
I'll
You
go
chills. You
for it.
cut
Yeah.
her off and you made her
I
forget
just-
her
I
point.
forgot.
What's wrong with you, man?
But
So-
what Izu and I was talking about, as we were talking about,
Yeah,
sorry,
go on. No. I'm gonna come in.
irrational thought processes are driven by extreme emotions or irrational emotions. So if you think one way, which is like the one extreme, so say the far left and the far right, that's driven by like irrational or extreme emotions such as love or hatred.
Yeah.
And like the only way you get to them is by being emotionally invested, and so you can understand like this director is being having these what you would say is an extreme reaction or extreme ideology because he is so emotionally invested, and you can't have the only way you can be neutral is if you don't
Emotionally
really have,
invested.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you're and in that way you'd be emotionally passive.
No. Yeah, I get that.
And
but I'm just
I'm not-
trying to say
yeah.
that I did not disagree with what he was
Yeah,
saying,
of
but I just
course.
said he could have
Of
approached
course.
it differently to target a bigger audience.
But
That's
some
all I was
people are
saying, like-
more moved by emotions than they are by
Yeah.
passive.
Yeah,
It-
everybody is
imagine-
different.
Yeah.
Everyone is different.
Again-
But also, I think
Okay,
it's about
again-
maybe
We're missing Izzy's
No,
point
no,
though.
but it doesn't matter about his point. His point is still valid, but
Yeah.
so are all of ours. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, there's people who are moved by emotion and who can relate to that emotion, and that's probably who he was trying to trigger. Because sometimes some people just don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
understand if they don't see rifled up like this. But then I do hear Izzy saying there are people out there who just will completely switch up and be like, he's lost it. He's too emotional. He's not clear. He's not direct.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't
not
feel
even
it.
okay. That's part of what I'm
That's
saying.
part of
But
what
here's the
you're
thing,
saying.
yeah. It's
And-
like because wait, I should say what you said again quickly. It's about being
Emotionally
Emotional.
invested.
yeah. But
So-
here's the
Emotionally
invested.
passive between emotionally passive and emotionally what's the other?
invested.
Invested into what?
Oh no. Okay, yeah. Here's what I was
You're
gonna say
saying.
is that basically like cool, right? You can be emotionally invested in what you're saying, but if what you then say is contrary to how you're behaving, I think you're a fraud. And don't get me wrong. Like Spike Lee will forever be one of my favorite directors of all time. Like, I hate all of his movies I love to this day. But this one interview I think was executed poorly. That's my only criticism. It was just a poorly executed interview.
Okay. Yeah. No, I get what you.
What do
yeah.
you mean that what he stands for? So sorry.
I think he just
You
what
said
he's meant
it's
to
that
do.
how he
the point-
behaves. So
portrayed
what?
it,
How
he
does he
portrayed it.
behave?
The
though?
point
I
he's
want
trying
you-
to get across, the point is
Yeah.
simply the fact that the president, in his position, did not denounce the Ku Klux Klan for the villainous, nature and acts that they did or are as an organization, and he obviously felt very emotional about that. Right? Again, both these things I fully empathize with, but when you go on to say about how we should, we're a society based on love, based on peace, we should basically, that kind of vibe, or not vibe, but that kind of emotions that he's trying to get across, but then coming across in this angry and violent tone. I think then you're more in line with what the Ku Klux Klan are about.
I get what you're saying.
I wouldn't
but I feel
compare
like
it
your
like
last
that.
That's an
statement-
I wouldn't
extreme
compare
way
it to
to
the-
Hey,
look at
listen,
a thinking
that's
that.
what I was telling Ashley the other day.
Wait,
If you're on
let
either
him
end
finish,
of
let him
the
finish.
extremes, then that's what you are. You're on either end of the extremes, and you're both based on and deep emotional investment in what you're saying.
So are you saying that a deep emotional investment means that you're an extremist?
Essentially, yeah.
But that doesn't mean you have to act on that, though, does it?
Of
You
course
can
not.
think those thoughts,
And it doesn't
you can
mean-
have that opinion, but you can still have an objective view, can you not? And you can, because,
Not really. It's a lot harder to have it's a lot harder to have
or you can
to be-
learn. You
to
can
be,
learn.
No,
though.
it's way harder to be detached, to be able to see things from a third point of view if you're emotionally invested in what you're saying.
If you believe so strongly about one thing, it's so hard for you to see the other side of the argument. I think that's what Iz is trying to say.
Yeah.
that
That
is. But how
if you
sure are
love
we that?
something so much and you believe in something so much,
Like you
it's
will
can't.
overlook the flaws, and I think maybe in agreement to what you're saying, people will overlook the obvious incongruency of what he's saying and how he said it. But I just don't think it's
So
the right
then,
thing to do, to be honest.
Do you think we need to start looking into the ideology of the Ku Klux Klan, and we need to be listening to what they're saying and trying to rationalize what they're saying so that we can take in both points of the argument?
The only
she got
way,
there.
no, she hasn't, because the only way to convince them otherwise is to first sympathize with what they're saying, because otherwise they're just gonna feel like you're gonna.
So we need to sympathize with the Ku Klux Klan.
Let him finish.
Okay, let me put it
him
this way,
finish.
right?
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Let me put it this way: during post-apartheid South Africa, what did Nelson Mandela implement? He did forgiveness programs. That was the first thing he did before anything else. He said, these people have committed atrocious acts against the people. First thing we're going to do is to forgive. And the only way we can do that is by sympathizing. And because if I come at you now, Asher, and say, what you're saying is the worst thing to humanity, you're despicable, you're this, you're that, you're immediately going to go on the defensive.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have any chance to come around to end what I'm saying. But if I say to you, look, I get that where you're coming from is a place of hurt and you feel like you've been wronged, but here is the alternative.
Yeah.
Then surely that the person is going to have more likely to be open to what you're saying.
I do hear you, but I wouldn't exactly call that bold, outright sympathizing. I wouldn't.
But okay, maybe
I wouldn't use that word.
Maybe
I
not
wouldn't use that.
sympathizing,
I
but
wouldn't use that
empathetic
word.
at least.
Yes, empathetic and understanding,
Hey,
and
man,
then
these
you can
words
come to
and terms,
a
bro.
better conclusion
You always
where
know what
Then
to
you
have
two
to say.
sides of
It's so
both
specific.
ideologies can come and form an agreement, but that rarely happens. Just look at what we spoke about earlier today when I wasn't here.
But
Do you
I
think
I think one,
that
yeah.
Palestinians will really forgive the Israelis for what they've done?
No,
But
because
that's what
Palestinians are stubborn as fuck.
Exactly. And so how was
No,
that
I
gonna
just
It's
want
difficult
one
when you're,
point that I did
emotionally
say
invested
earlier,
like that with pain.
Kofi, before you came, that we
Yes.
were saying how in the education system people don't actually get taught about the Palestinian-Israeli issue. But what I was trying to say is that you need to understand both sides of the argument, even though it was really, really difficult for me when I was reading upon the Israeli side. But I needed to read that in order to understand the position that I have today.
Yeah.
It was very, very difficult. And at times I used to get really angry and throw books. But but
As I said,
it's,
the Arabs.
it is
Settle
really,
down,
really
settle down,
hard. But I think in order to make your point a strong point and try to convince someone that knows nothing about the issue, you need to know both sides of the argument before you say. And I know it's very, very difficult, but sometimes it just needs to be
So-
done.
That's
I'm
correct.
not saying to
Yeah.
empathize with the other side,
But
but
you
you need to
understand.
understand
That's
and
You
put,
need to, yeah.
100%
and
agree
put
with that.
yourself
100%
in their
agree with that.
shoes and
Yeah.
then be like, okay, I understand why they're doing this, but I understand why the other side is doing that as well.
Actually, you had a question.
So I was gonna say, do you think if you went into Israel and you went up to the soldiers and stuff and you were like, I forgive you for what you've done, and then move forward, do you think that they would stop doing what they're doing?
No,
And
they
In
wouldn't.
isolation,
No,
no.
I wouldn't say it
wouldn't
so
care.
bluntly like I would forgive, but I would understand, maybe try to
Yeah.
understand why they did what they did.
But do you
and
think
I
if you-
do.
If
But
you
then
said
I
that
would-
to them, do you think that they would, change? And
In
the same
isolation-
with the same with the KKK. If you went up to them and were like, I understand what you've been saying, and I forgive you for what you've done. Do you think they're going to change?
But isn't that Martin Luther King's message?
Yeah, but is it
Well,
going to
I
do
think-
The whole point of the message is about change. Is that going to change anything?
I want to say one point. I went to a recent seminar, and there was this guy that his whole family was killed by a bombing, and he lost his 3 daughters and I think his wife died previously, of cancer. And I think he wrote a book saying, "I shall not hate." Like, and his point was like, even though all this stuff happened to me, I am still here to say that I shall not hate. And I think he worked at an Israeli hospital, and he worked alongside Israeli doctors. And because he had that standpoint that I will not hate, and he felt the same way. He was saying how would fellow doctors that were Israelis did not replicate that. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
No, you are.
I'm just saying, if you come in and saying like, okay, yeah, I understand both points, and I'm still not gonna hate either side, I think it does have kind of like a domino effect on the other person. Even though I think it is very, very hard, and it takes a very strong person to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But from that seminar and from what I saw, what happened to this guy, and he was still able to like live with it. It's like, I think it's like an evidence that
But
does
that's-
happen.
that's like
It's
a-
like rare, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a personal thing as well, though, because
Hey,
obviously
speaking to
It's
the mic, Asha.
hard.
not everyone is able to do that.
That's what
And
I'm
I
saying. It
think
takes a
saying
very
that-
strong person to be able to do that.
For you want to be able to do that and to achieve that change, you've got to be able to kind of like push your emotion aside. I think not only is it asking a big thing, but it's also like, it's just, I think, almost a bit unfair to an extent to ask someone to like go through all of this, but then still try and remain passive and neutral to everything they've experienced.
I don't.
It
I
is
think that-
difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. I know
It's difficult, and I think from what I've seen, I'm like, wow, like you must be such a strong person to be able to do that.
I think it's us as well. Like, although we're like Arab and we're black and mixed race and biracial, we haven't really, or as far as I'm aware, we haven't really experienced these really traumatic events in this that we're talking about. So it's very easy for us to talk about how you would deal and cope with these emotions and these events when we haven't
think it's very
faced
different, yeah.
anything
Well, I think
similar
that
to
if-
that.
I
We're
think
all
just us,
theorizing.
yeah, like us, we only hear these things either from like our grandparents or our parents that actually went through them. And I think maybe if you were there at the time experiencing it face to face, we would have like a different reaction.
We probably definitely would.
I mean, I can't speak. Obviously, I can't speak on how like other people will react. I can only look at my own personal history and see
What-
the times when you face personal struggles yourself. And I've always found that the best way I've dealt with specifically, severely traumatic events is when you can, retain that sense of calm. Because otherwise, you just get swept down this emotional path, and you end up doing shit that you definitely regret.
Yeah.
I think it's always really important to like pause and think
Yeah.
before you act, because otherwise you'll just like be moving reckless.
100%.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask out
But
of
some
interest,
people
like,
don't have the. Sorry, Alex.
yeah,
The
where-
capacity to do
where's,
that,
like,
and I
Or
understand that.
haven't learnt that. People haven't coached them through it, so they can't do anything but panic, and they're just so
Yeah.
sporadic.
Yeah.
But I
and that's
think
where the key thing is in the education of people learning about their emotions and their thoughts
I think what-
together. And which I agree with him,
Yeah.
so that you don't go down into that negative spiral of, oh, let me just, I'm panicking.
Because
let
it
me just
becomes tit
react.
for tat.
And and then you just feel like, oh, they did this to me and I did this to them, and then you go overboard.
No,
I think
no
what
one
Izzy-
wins when
Izzy
it
was-
gets like that.
Yeah, and I think
No.
that's the point Izzy was
Yeah.
trying to make, that he should be setting an example like that to everyone else. So like stand and reflect before you speak.
Thing is, right? Yes, I agree with that.
On principle.
There's a but.
I know, it's really, really
What did I
difficult.
say about but? Anytime anyone says
Nonetheless.
but, everything before is bullshit.
Nevertheless,
I see what he's doing though.
No,
see
I
he
get
just
it. I
doesn't
get it.
care.
Yeah.
And
I-
not doesn't care. He's just, I'm gonna be strong.
That's Spike
If
Lee,
I'm
though,
seen
innit?
as wrong, that's me. And it is because of it's part of his art. He's like, you know what? He's using the card of it's art. It can be construed and
Yeah.
received in any way possible. I'm putting it out there.
Yo, Chills, you had a question. What
no,
are
I
you
was
saying?
just gonna ask, like, what generation was like Spike Lee from? Like, did he grow up during that sort of
Yeah,
like
he's
period?
Spike Lee's. Let me get his age
Jim-
now, but
Jim
he's
Carrey.
definitely older.
Because
generation.
like then it would make more sense that he's like
He's over
emotionally,
50.
because he's dealt through like these issues
Yeah.
if he's from that generation, and that's obviously gonna be quite painful. And like as we're saying, it's hard to like remove yourself from like emotion and look at things objectively.
Just because it's hard though.
It's
doesn't mean you
hard,
should.
and
He's
it's not
61
right.
years old.
Then he's
He's
lived
been
it.
through a
He's
lot.
lived
He's
it.
lived
He's
it.
lived
Been
it.
about this.
And
He's been
through a
about
lot.
this.
And to say, guys, the reason why I think he's gone on this path and said that and just been like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna use my emotions and express that way, is because with the present at this point, he's saying, this is a repeat. This is what I experienced growing up. This is what my parents experienced growing up, and I'm not gonna stand for it. All right, and I want people to know that we had Barack Obama in, and we had before that, and we actually had a chance of Bernie Sanders or whatnot. But now we have Trump, and now America's going in this way, and I don't want to have a repeat of how it's gone before. Trump is seen to be sympathizing with extremists, with people who are harming.
White extremists. Let's be specific.
It's the fact
Okay,
we've made so much
with white
progress as
extremists,
well,
with
man.
the alt-right, and he's seemed to not really care about
mean-
the
Yeah, to be
minorities
going
or
back
people who
in-
are being persecuted.
Yeah.
So we're then going back 50 years again to what his film shows,
Exactly.
to the 1960s.
But
etc.
here's another maybe unpopular
like-
opinion. Yeah. But
Wait, I'm not finished.
It's like five.
I'm not
it's
finished.
five-
Not finished.
5 steps
So
forward,
that's
10
what he just
steps
wants
back.
to put in the psyche of, I don't know, his fans or the world, that he's not going to stand for that, and so they know, because people think the world's getting better. Obviously, there are people opposed to Trump, but many people are. But then there are people who aren't.
The
And who think that-
majority.
But then the
majority
majority
who
voted him in.
So that's my point.
If,
He's
if,
really
if you look at raw numbers,
Technically,
they
yeah.
weren't really the
He didn't get
majority
the popular
voted him.
vote.
He didn't.
But
But
then
he's still won.
It's states, but that's politics and all funky stuff.
that's all financial numbers.
Yeah.
and whatnot. We'll get into that a
here's
bit
it,
later.
like,
But
okay,
go on, Iz, go
Here's
on.
my unpopular opinion, right? Is that if someone comes at you with the same level of like aggression, but arguing the counterpoint, you're gonna call them crazy, or who says something wild, you're gonna call them crazy, i.e., Mr. Kanye West.
Oh no, don't.
No.
Because
Oh,
he's arguing
no.
your
We're
point.
talking about this guy again.
No, listen, but it's because it's relevant. Listen,
Yeah.
if someone comes at you with a certain level of, excitement, let's call it excitement, yeah, about a specific point, and that point doesn't align with what you believe in, you call him
Yeah.
crazy. But when he does, you're gonna forgive him and be, he's emotional, he's this, he's that.
Everyone was so quick.
You gotta
to
come with the
jump
same
on
energy.
Kanye.
That's all I'm saying.
Everyone was so quick.
I didn't say that he couldn't come with the same energy.
I am saying he can't come with this. Wait, what'd you say?
I'm saying that your point's, I hear your point. I
Alright,
wouldn't
cool.
have used Kanye's example, but
I will use because
I said-
Kanye is a perfect example. He's saying some wild, crazy, stupid, in my opinion, stupid shit.
but Spikes isn't that wild. It's all truth.
So if someone comes to you
Spike
and
stuff
says,
is more emotion than like it's just
Then wild
But it's
activation.
also-
no.
I think the other
Okay, then
one
no. Let's
with
put it on
more
other
emotions
foot.
and
Then
then
say,
other foot. But I heard you. I heard you with
say
Kanye.
Klansman comes around and says, you know what, I'm tired of being fucking nice all the time and all this aggressive shit. Yeah,
Tired-
you're gonna be like, you're gonna be like, yo, he's a Klansman. I'm not listening to him. This guy's nuts. He's
I
this. He's
think-
that.
It was a weird comparison that you made because I think Kanye's speech was ignorant and the other one was just filled with emotion. I don't think they're the same thing.
But there's also like
Same.
the
Just
the
because you don't
first
view that
speech-
No,
book
I
as very
personally
wise,
think like
innit?
at least his point, the point that he was trying to make was filled with emotion, and we were saying maybe he could have just portrayed it in a different way. But I think Kanye's argument was just ignorant and just ignored the mass history that happened before and just said like, oh, we need to move past it.
And
I
that's
think
fair.
Kanye's was still emotional too, though. Don't get it wrong. Don't get
Say
me
that
wrong.
again.
Yeah.
Kanye still had what he said was filled with a lot of emotion.
But
Even
I-
though with some ignorance and misdelivery, he still
I
had
think it was
some
a
valid
huge
points.
misdelivery.
Yeah, I know, but that's
I
where he
can't
needs
lie
to be
you,
coached on that.
He delivered
Yeah,
that way off
he
target.
dropped
fam.
the
He dropped like, I was like,
payload
oh my
did
days,
not
what
get
just
the
happened?
payload was not delivered there. I tell you that.
I
I tell you
think
that for free.
There's a difference as well, though, is that like
Go on, educate me. What's the
the
difference?
facts, though, like
Go on.
the director was saying, as Jay-Z would say, it's facts, and a lot of what he was saying was
Facts.
the truth, whereas what Kanye was saying
That's your truth.
wasn't really.
It's more like
true,
his
though.
observation on how he sees like
And I
black
think-
people today. It's not.
But that's
It
the
was
point.
facts.
No, but that's
That
the
was-
point. though.
But
What
that's
Kanye said was
important.
true
That's
to him.
important. It's true to him. Yeah.
No,
I
but
think
So
that's
what's your-
he comes from such a privileged background. He doesn't. I just,
Nah.
No, stop there.
No,
Stop there.
no,
Stop
I
there. Stop there. Stop there.
Nah.
Stop there. You can't.
Please,
No, no, no,
please.
no.
Background, no, but he's in a privileged position,
Position.
now.
Sorry,
Yeah.
yes, that's
Yeah.
position.
but then it's
can't
like
But
call
he's
Chirac.
lived it. Spike Lee is privileged now. I'll tell you that.
100.
He's privileged now. He's got a lot of money.
All these people
The
that
director's got a
speak
lot of
on
money.
issues are
The example
privileged now,
isn't so
to be
out
honest.
of
But
place
then-
now, is it? You man are starting to see the parallels.
I didn't say to you that it wasn't so out. I just said you could have used anyone and their truth.
And I chose Kanye.
Because anybody, what they say, and if it's got some grounding, which Kanye's points did have, and which Spikes do as well, is that what they believe is their truth, and is it up to us to say we have to take it away from them? We can critique
It's up to
it,
us to
we can-
decide whether the truth is valid, is going to be our truth as well.
Exactly. But then that does rest with your morals then and your ideology. So then at the end of the day, the truth they're putting out there is never ever going to reach anyone. Sorry. It's never ever going to agree with everyone. It's not going to agree with it. You're right though. Am I not right?
I can't. You know what this is? I can't.
Go on.
someone
go on.
phone
Someone hit me
Oliver
with a
'cause he's
counter.
gonna say that
Because I
he's
may not be
wrong.
completely right.
We need
But
to
I'm
report
just-
this.
Let me call Oliver.
I'm just saying.
Are you going to say that you're wrong though?
How am I wrong?
I didn't say he was wrong.
No, he was about to say.
Can we go back to your point then? So you brought up Kanye and said that his truth and what he said is just as much emotion as Spike's, and we called him crazy. I didn't call him crazy.
Because we called him crazy because
didn't call
what
him
he
crazy.
said went counter to our beliefs, i.e. the slavery thing.
Yes,
Everyone
it did,
was
but
so
because it
quick
was
to
so
jump on it.
outlandish.
Yeah.
And because it didn't
It
fit.
was just the delivery of it, and
It didn't
like,
fit the order of what he was saying. This whole sentence didn't make sense, to be honest.
What?
When he said that comment about slavery.
About slavery.
Yeah.
But he was, again, I don't think he was talking about physical.
I don't. Yeah, exactly.
He was talking about
I feel-
mental
No,
slavery.
but it's not about that. It's
Yeah.
just how he brought it up. It was a
Yeah,
completely
yeah, he
different.
did.
kind
Yeah,
of
it's,
out
it's
of
how it
like
brought
it.
up. It was literally.
it's like a lead up
came
of
into
all of
his
the
head,
events.
Like the new
That-
ones went through his head. And he was like, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna say this right now because I'll forget it."
I feel like why people ran away with it. It's just the lead up of the events, like wearing the MAGA hat and all of these things, and like chilling with Trump, and it doesn't fit the agenda that like most people want to see.
Was it-
That's
They
why
want to
they're
see
quick
him.
to say. That's why they're like, "You're crazy. You're not. You're
that's
not
the
this
point I'm
guy."
trying to
Exactly.
make, though.
And I totally agree with you.
I
But
agree
I
with you.
think it's
But he
also-
wasn't crazy to do that, and I agree with Kanye. Let him
He
wear-
wasn't crazy.
Kanye.
Spike.
Kanye.
Kanye wasn't. He definitely wasn't crazy.
Let him wear the hat.
Kanye is crazy, man.
Let him wear the hat, man. Why not? The hat is just a symbol. But just because Trump said it's
But
will work
symbol
first.
of what, though, innit? That's the
But
point.
that's what he's trying to remove. Symbols are just what you want to make them. Sorry, symbols are what you believe they are.
Nah, they're not.
That's what I believe that.
Hey, listen,
he
you can believe whatever you
put
want about
across.
swastika. It's still a swastika, bro.
Yeah. Did you hear
I
his
do,
song with
but it depends.
Ye versus the People? Like what he was trying to
It
say. He
depends
was like
on
trying to
who's
bring a
using
new
it.
meaning to it. Like he was. he
Yeah,
had
but
a lot-
there's certain things that are bigger than you, Kanye. Like, I'm
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. That's what he's saying. It's saying that we've been so used to, and we've been so not brainwashed, but so conditioned
Like-
to this is this, that is that, and there's no other meaning for that. That's what his delivery did not express properly.
I get
and that's
what
why
he's
people
trying to
called
do,
him crazy.
basically, Yeah.
And
Because-
if anything, like what you were saying about, love, if you're gonna say something, if you're gonna have an ideology, your actions need to support it. Well, Kanye is saying love is love, and he's saying that I'm gonna love everyone regardless of what they've done to me. So if anything, what he's saying is almost more true because he's backing it up with his actions. He's
Yeah.
saying, like, wasn't he saying years ago that who was it, Bill? Or it's like George Bush hates black people.
Oh yeah, that was like 2000
Yeah,
times.
but now he's
Like the
saying,
flood
George
and all
Bush doesn't care about
About
black
black
people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that classic
but
video.
now he's being like, well, you've got Trump, and he's saying I don't agree with everything Trump says, and I definitely, but that's because Trump is his own person, and unless I am him, I won't agree with him. But I want to preach love, and nothing's going to change unless we all love each other, which is why he's linking with all these controversial people, because he's saying hating anyone doesn't do anything.
I hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I
again,
feel like that's what he's trying to say.
He's got the right intentions, just the wrong delivery.
Yeah, I think it was really like didn't
Just the
deliver it
wrong
right.
The
delivery.
thing is, right, I think this is education as well. He's learned a lot and developed. That's why when he made comments about George Bush, and now he's, he has to understand that you can't just call someone a damn right racist.
Yeah.
Who's a massive public figure in the world, i.e. the president, and think that people aren't going to give any backlash. And you have to understand what people stand for and their ideologies, and that's what he learned about. What he says.
This guy gets
Trump
backlash.
I
for
don't agree with
anything
about
anyway.
everything Trump says. That's what he's trying to portray to the world.
Ash was 5-2.
From what I see. So
Yeah, it's fine.
Alright,
yeah.
cool.
So Izu, now,
Yo.
I don't think that we've covered this enough. So
What?
you're saying that you still love Spike's work. You
I
still
always will.
agree with him as a person, but this is a mishap for the interview that he said with this lady.
In a nutshell, yeah.
In a nutshell. But then how do you feel that other people are gonna receive it? People are still gonna watch the movie.
Nah,
right?
people are gonna champion it because he's basically saying this, like he's basically saying their voice.
Yeah, he's voicing the voiceless, right?
One
And
side
who
will
is the
champion
voiceless
it.
in this situation, in this context? Do you think?
But again, like Chills was saying, yeah, one side is gonna be like, yo,
Yeah.
this guy's speaking the truth, and the other side is
The
gonna be
other
like,
side,
yo,
yeah.
he's crazy.
Exactly. The other side are going to be that. And if anything, it's going to sway them from, like, sort of emphasizing, like, and showing empathy. Like,
Empathy, guys.
yeah.
We got that.
We got it. But yeah, like, people are going to be less able to understand, like, our side of the view. And it's not really what we're trying to push forward. We want everyone to be on this love thing, like Kanye's saying. Like, yeah.
Does everyone agree with that though?
But then also, if you try to appeal to everyone, you're going to alienate some people. Like, some people just don't believe that love, like preaching love works. So then if you are all about that, you know, loving someone will help them or get them to understand you, there'll be some people that just don't agree with that. And then you will not want to,
With
like...
anything in life, there's always going to be someone who's...
I think
unhappy
it's like
with it.
maybe.
Yeah.
I think personally,
Regardless.
I think love
Going
is
on.
a stretch, but maybe not hate is a better way.
Understanding.
Yeah.
Understanding.
Understanding.
Peace.
I
This-
think when
this-
I think the example that I gave earlier, that I shall not hate. I think the title did say I shall not hate. It didn't say I am gonna love.
Yeah.
So I think
But then
we need
what
to
Kanye
reach.
is
And this is
saying-
exactly
Well,
what I
I think
think
we need to reach
Kanye's
a point.
trying to
Let-
do.
let her finish,
Yeah.
let her
I think we
finish.
need to reach
Go
a
on.
point, maybe not love the other person that we're speaking about, but maybe not hate, because hate only like reaches violence and reaches things that
You sound like
Well,
Yoda.
Carry on, let her finish. Izzy, let her finish. Go.
yeah, that's my point, that I don't think maybe love is a
And
stretch.
this is what I think, like, when I say Kanye thing, like, I think Kanye's really trying to preach everyone to be, like, on this understanding each other. Not necessarily love, but he wants everyone to be understanding and sit down and listen to the views. As he mentioned in his track, Ye versus the People. He sat down, sat back, took his own understanding on it, and he came up with his own opinion, really. So I think that's what he's trying to
But
press,
he
really.
is saying that tell everyone you love them. He's saying
He
like,
is
he's literally saying go to everyone and tell them that you love them.
Yeah, he is tweeting that stuff as well, but there can be many other reasons. Like, he's got shoes coming out, he's got albums coming out. Think logically, this is
What, he said
possibly
it in
what's
the
coming.
interview too.
He did say it in the interview.
But sorry, no, and I don't have a problem with that. He may not. I mean, we know he has a problem with delivery, so he may mean just like somebody or just let them live with you. Don't, he may just say that as, oh, people wake up, and you don't have to say to them you love them, but just don't say to them you hate them and try and live with people.
Yeah.
Because maybe he wants to just do that, but everybody doesn't have to do that. And from what a leader or what somebody, an influencer or somebody who you look forward to, you're never going to listen to everything they say directly, are you?
Take in what you can.
You're taking
and
what you
leave
can and
out
what you want to use.
Yeah.
And how
And
it
filter
benefits
out what
you.
you don't like.
But you're right, Asha, by saying that if you keep saying love, 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 some people are just born with hate. And some people are just born with...
Nah, no one's.
I don't think anyone
everyone's
is born with hate.
blank.
No, you
Wait,
sound
wait.
you sound like
I didn't say hate for anyone. I just said some people just don't like to be loved. That's what I mean. Some people just don't like to be loved. They're happy with just being by themselves. Just,
But I don't think anyone is born with hate. I think
Okay,
hate
I
develops.
I retract
he
that
retracted
statement.
the point.
I
He
retract
retracted
that
the point.
statement. I
As soon
retract
as I
that
said
statement.
black, we're born blank, he knew. He knew.
I retract that statement because it's environmental and you learn to hate. But
It's
some
2018,
people
bro.
Oh
may
yeah,
not.
I don't think you learn to hate. I think you
No.
have reasoning to hate. You like
No,
But that's still learned, right?
It's
still
a lot
learned.
of
You
a
learn
lot
the
of us
reason.
are
You're learning.
We're,
You learn
we're
the reason.
learning
Still you
beings.
learning yourself. So that's whether someone teaches you or you just through your experiences and through
that I
Yeah.
agree, yeah.
your experiences you
It's all a learning
think
experience.
a certain way and then it's a learning behavior. So then you
Yeah.
express that or you express it in your mentally in yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just down to say that everyone's got to learn how to coexist, and that's what
Nah, everyone needs to learn to communicate.
communicate. What
But you communicate. You can coexist through your communication.
I didn't say you couldn't.
No, but like Izzy is saying, no, communicate. And I'm
You need to
saying,
learn how to communicate.
Okay, and first we communicate first, and then we do what after that?
Live together.
Yeah, and
Let's
then we try not to blow each other up.
That's 100%.
No, but
You can communicate for the wrong reasons as well, so it's like easier said than
That's
done.
what I said.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
That's why you coexist.
Listen, you gotta be. Here's my thing, yeah. You have to be open and honest with whatever you believe in, and if you're trying to be sneaky and that, then you know what I'm saying, you're a bit of a waste man. But that's my point about communication is going back to the Spike Lee thing, because I don't think that was very good communication.
But if you just said like you have to be open and honest, isn't Spike Lee being open and honest?
Spike Lee is being open, definitely, but the honesty is the bit I'm questioning. Is because he's saying one thing and acting another.
Can you let the guests know?
Elaborate.
Elaborate on what?
I told you it's because I can play it again if you want. He's like this. First of all, is tone, manner, and then certain vernacular that he decided to use when describing a certain other person, right? Is the same way that certain Klansmen will refer to black people.
Right, but then that's still him being honest.
So he's basically being a Klansman.
What?
Whoa!
I didn't say that.
Izu.
I didn't say that.
Listen, if you're
No, yeah, you're saying that he's trying to preach.
He's trying to preach love
Love.
with a fist. So which one is it? The love or the hate or the fist? That's what I'm trying to get at.
I think it's both.
You can't have both.
It's a
I think
mixture
it's
of
both.
all.
Shove love and
That
people
life
hate
is both
it.
right now. Life is both right now.
I fucking have you not been?
Think
You
just
haven't
when
been
you-
drunk
when-
before.
That's a good
I love you,
example.
Bish.
Lord of mercy. That's a good. Think about it. Just picture love and hate and a fist and them coming together. And then there's a force in the middle of
Clash.
that. There's a clash, of course. You said you can't have them both, but they both do exist.
Yeah, but they don't exist together and simultaneously in a thing that makes any
No,
sense.
it's not going to be harmony. There's no harmony there.
That's the point I'm trying to
There's no
make.
harmony there.
Like, if you have to be harmonious in your message and in your actions.
I don't think that he wants to be, though.
But then you are a liar.
He never
Okay,
said that
so-
I want to coexist. Where did he say that?
But we do coexist.
No, I'm just saying he talked about this being, he said the president. I want to play it again, right? He basically said the
Go on, play
He's
it
not
president.
again.
letting this guy.
No, I want.
I'm
I
not letting
want
this go,
everybody to be
because
clear. I want it to be clear.
I am
Because right. But before we play it, if you're being persecuted, you're always gonna. Not always, but you tend to.
Hold on. Let me play.
Go on then. Go on.
Go on,
Do it from
son.
here.
Oh fuck! Turn it down. Hold on.
I think
We're
it's good
gonna have
that
to
we're
cut
having
this.
two
We're gonna have
sides
to
of
cut
the
this.
argument, because then it gets people hyped up.
Nah, I don't know about you, but that sounded very hateful to me.
Yeah.
How do you
like,
know
on
that-
second listen? it does.
How do you know
I
that,
did want to listen to it again because that first
that
time it was
Trump's
quite quick.
lack of love didn't make him give up on love too?
Sorry, say that again.
What's
So
the point?
say,
Yeah.
so say he's complaining about Trump not being, loving and compassionate. How do you know up until that point he wasn't all about that, and then when Trump didn't do that, he was like, "Fuck it, I'm not going to do it either."
So you're basically saying he basically sunk to the level that Trump is at,
That's what.
and
that's
that we
what-
should
Yeah.
celebrate that.
That's what.
I'm not saying we should celebrate it. I'm just saying maybe that's why he's like it.
Nah,
No, but
Spike Lee has not been quite outspoken a lot of the time, innit? And most of the time, I get even now I get what he's saying. I'm not saying I disagree with what he's saying. I'm just saying how he said it. I can't, I can't ride with that and be like, yo, this makes sense, because it's the same way that I don't think what Kanye says makes sense, or the same way I don't think other people say makes sense. When you're saying something and you're behaving a different way, you, in my eyes, are basically acting fraudulent.
Okay,
I think we
that's
should pull Kanye
understandable.
away from this one.
No, because it's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. Kanye's saying we should love everyone, even if you don't agree with what I'm saying, I'm going to come and give you a hug, this and that. But we say, Kanye's batshit crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's living a life of privilege. He's disconnected from the African-American struggle. He's this, he's that. But at the same time, he's still talking about, the same things that essentially Jesus preached, which is about loving each other, love thy neighbor as yourself.
Yeah, but you didn't say that he said that. You said that we as the people are saying
We
he's
as the
crazy.
people are saying Kanye is crazy. Tell me who isn't saying that.
I don't think he's crazy.
The majority, like
Yeah,
the
and
timeline,
that is
is
the
saying
majority.
it's crazy.
That's the timeline.
I'm not saying we're not necessarily saying we.
Yeah, I know,
Think,
I hear you,
like
I hear
we
you.
both know we don't think he's crazy.
Yes.
But the timeline, when you go on the timeline, everyone's saying this guy's crazy.
The media,
like right now,
media consumers and then regurgitators and outputters, online, the online community, I should have just said. But that's what they can't see. They can't see the lens that Kanye was trying to talk to. They can't. I think it's different to what Spike's saying.
Fam, we had a conversation outside of Foot Locker.
Yeah, I know we did.
And that guy was basically saying, nah, I can't fuck with Kanye.
And that's his understanding, and that's his level of understanding. He can't see through. He can't give Kanye the it's not benefit of doubt, but he can't analyze what Kanye was saying enough to be like, okay, maybe there is something else here that he hasn't delivered right. And I'm not saying that it's wrong, but he just hasn't analyzed it that way. Because there are many people who I've had this conversation with, right, who have said, do you know what? Kanye's onto something, but he just delivered it poorly, and he said it in the wrong fashion. He used the wrong words. He needs coaching,
which
and
is
he
exactly
needs,
what I'm saying about Spike Lee.
Yeah, this
and
is
he
what we're
needs
saying as well.
some therapy.
Thank
But
you, no.
I'm
Someone
saying,
who makes sense.
No, but then okay,
No,
but then
you can't-
the
you can't-
fact
you can't run
one
that.
second. Because if you are a person that your voice is gonna go out to so many people, you should be very careful with the way that you're gonna say what you have to say. You shouldn't have to expect like, oh, someone's gonna be interpreting it this way or that way. You should say it in a way that is like, you don't need an interpretation. Like, say it in a
Yeah, I
valid
hear you.
way that just gets to the as much audience as you want. Like, it doesn't have to be, oh yeah, I think he meant this, I think he meant
But
that.
everyone will say that about
anything you
everything.
say.
That's what
Yeah,
we're saying.
everything-
I
somebody's
know.
opinion,
everything is
but,
out
but
to
it's like
interpretation,
both of them could have
regardless.
portrayed their message in a much clearer and coherent
How
way.
do you know that wasn't exactly how his message wanted to
That's
be
what I
seen?
was gonna say.
His message, he could have said exactly what he wanted to say and meant exactly how we see it. You might be saying, you're saying he meant something else. You don't know that he meant something else. He could say exactly what
Wait,
he
who are we
meant.
talking about? Spike Lee or
what?
Kanye?
About
Kanye.
Spike.
We're
Both
talking
of
about
them.
Spike.
Both
But
of
no,
them.
let's
I'm talking about Spike
talking about
Lee.
Spike right now. Kanye, I'm gonna.
I'm not
gonna move
disagreeing
away
with
from
what he said. I'm just trying to say he could have said it in like a
But
different way.
he might have said it exactly how he wanted it to be said.
All right, so Asha and Noor. So Noor, how would you have liked him to say what he said?
Again, we're talking about Spike Lee.
Yeah, we're talking about Spike Lee here. Kanye went on too many different tangents, so let's leave him out of this.
I don't know. I would say maybe less swearing.
Okay.
Definitely less swearing.
It's the tone of voice. You could tell
and the
straight
tone
away.
and the tone of
Yeah.
voice.
Like,
Like,
it's,
maybe say
sort of-
exactly the points that he said, but just a different tone of voice and maybe a lot less swearing.
And do you think we'd still have a conversation like this, or we would have picked it up like this?
Nope.
If
we
Probably
we
wouldn't.
didn't
not.
say like
We
that.
wouldn't.
Probably
And
not.
would it have
Would we
reached
have
the wider
spoke about this issue
audience?
today?
Probably
No.
not.
Would
Is it- would we
people
have-
be covering it
We
in the
shouldn't be
news?
talking about this.
Would we have-
This shouldn't be the point of conversation. This should have been an interview about the film, and that's it. But it isn't.
There you go
Yeah.
then.
The press wouldn't
Yeah,
have covered
yeah,
it.
that's what we were
But
saying.
he wouldn't have got the coverage.
Exactly.
Is what I'm saying. And
So he's doing what Kanye did, as in he's making a noise to sell stuff.
potentially yes.
I thought this was a bad example.
I'm not going to disagree with that. But I wasn't. No, you didn't hear me say anything about Kanye to sell anything. I think Kanye
Oh,
still
yeah.
would have come
That
out
was
and
all
said that
chills.
stuff anyway. I think Kanye still would have said that stuff anyway. But
I think
Most likely
right,
but
would have, yeah.
do you know what? Spike has been
Does he
outspoken
need
for
to,
his whole career.
But
so
does he need to say something like that to sell it? Isn't
what
his-
Spike? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
Exactly.
Actually wait.
no, he doesn't.
He doesn't really need to.
Exactly.
the
but-
movie speaks for itself.
It does. The title, the type of movie. It
Exactly. So then it doesn't really matter what he's saying or how he's saying.
Yeah, but Kanye's album would have sold, Yeezys would have still
Yeah.
sold, and yet he still come
Yeah,
out and
Kanye
still does
is
it.
a
People
different
do it
type
just
of
to make sure
machine,
they
a different
they
type
stay
of
relevant.
person.
The same way I think
about
Spike Lee
media
took this
coverage.
opportunity, being that I wouldn't say, yeah, Kanye. I mean, Spike Lee took this opportunity to fight, to pop off at Trump, in an overly aggressive way, in a way that people right now are fucking with, because at the end of the day, he's still basically saying what they're feeling, right? I'm just saying that if you're really about what you say you are, you don't act the way he does.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're saying, because let's just clarify that, because he's saying we should love each other, and that Trump, what Spike said, that he didn't denounce the Klan, so he doesn't denounce hate.
Collectively as well, he said we.
Yeah, we
Collectively.
We collectively.
So that includes him.
And then in this, he was preaching hate in his fashion the way he spoke, right, and what he said. That's what you're saying, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you.
Which is a valid point.
Which is a valid point. I
All
hear you.
true.
I hear you, but I just think, like I said, he's toying with people's minds and doesn't care, and he says that this is the only way to get through, and for this, I don't know in any other reality if it would have got through if he said it in a calmer fashion without so much swearing, without so much directness at Trump for the hate for him or whatnot. But as of now, I don't know. He could be happy of how it's been received because people are talking about it. People are, have opinions on it, strong opinions, because he had his strong opinion. So I believe that whatever his agenda was may have worked. And he just took the chance of that he's in the limelight because of his film has been, was at the Cannes Festival. And if this was either before or after One Day Award, he was there. He said, okay, I'm just going to use this opportunity. You're right, to take shots at Trump. Who knows if he had said this on another time. I think he would have. If he'd been in the spotlight, he would have made a shot at Trump.
Again, I don't know. I can't speak to the mind of Spike Lee. But
Yeah, we can't.
she's just... Yeah, that's what I'm saying, to be honest.
This is starting to sound like a psychology lesson.
Good.
Yeah, then maybe we should all do some research when we leave here.
Don't know about that.
I'm gonna be
I'll
sending
do it
y'all-
while I'm doing my...
You got a disso to write, I swear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll do that on the
focus,
side.
girl.
One last thing that the listeners. So go on, tell us what you do then, guys.
I go to uni.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
That's
very
not-
descriptive.
What are you doing at uni? What are you doing?
I study human rights
At
So-
what
as a
level?
master's.
Okay.
I did, yeah.
Jeez. Dissertation on human rights. It's just a lot of words, I won't lie to you.
That is a lot of words.
Sophie, what are you doing at the moment?
Well, otherwise than being a host on here, producing it with you guys, I am a A&R at a company, for a music company. So
Why are you saying it like that?
I don't know, man.
White voice activated.
That's a white voice. That's just clear.
No, it's like you're clear.
Cut
voice
that for the
advocate.
record.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm an A&R
that
music
one-
company. Yeah, so I'm going into A&R right now.
Business
So
voice.
that was just so clear.
I think
clarity.
maybe
We're
We're talking about
Professional-
communication now.
Professional voice.
No, I'm not gonna
activated.
lie. My professional voice sounds so moist, so I can't talk.
That wasn't even. Yeah, I
That
don't
was
know.
that was kind of your
That
little
wasn't really.
professional voice.
Oh.
If you want to hear my professional voice, you
I was
guys.
thinking,
I'm speaking professional already.
I'm thinking, what the hell's going on?
But I was, just to give my
It's one
little,
of those
my
studio
listeners
guys
a bit of wake up.
I am AR now.
It didn't even sound like that.
It didn't even sound like
it
that.
did.
It didn't.
No, it sounded different. It sounded different.
But not like that.
All right, I'm gonna go back. We're gonna cut that bit because I don't want this. I don't want this segment on there. So right now, I'm the host. I'm a producer on the Unplugged podcast with you guys. We also got the playlist coming out soon, which I make 2 DJ, and I'm also going into A&R, which is music A&R, which is signing of artists. And yeah,
Bang, bang.
That
so
sounds great.
signing of artists and working with artists for the marketing and management.
SPK worldwide.
Hey, I'm actually your
My guy's
ad lib
got it.
specialist now.
My guy's
Like,
got
I'm forever just doing SBK
See, I got
worldwide.
fans everywhere. Fans in the studio. Fans out work.
Yeah, this guy
So,
getting
you know.
paps all the time on Insta, about the coffee.
Actually, no, Chills. Tell us what you do.
Well, chills. I just pretty much do
Chills,
what the
chills,
name says on the tin. I'm like
Chill.
chilling, enjoying life. I'm just doing a few side business sort of ventures, but yeah, I'm looking to go back into education and further this knowledge. So
Yeah, because you went to
What do
uni,
you mean
right?
side
Yeah.
business? What are you doing?
huh?
What do you mean side business?
Oh, like I like to
You
do
merchandise
this-
and buy it, right?
Yeah, get a few garms, few shoes and that. Like
So what, you sell labels?
Yeah, labels. I just like
Clothing
to-
and shoes, right?
Yeah, clothing and
So,
shoes.
you know, when
So someone wants to find you,
Yeah.
where would they find you at?
Oh, obviously ACL 17, but that
And
might
for the
have to-
clothing as well.
For the clothing, Plug Club store. Yeah,
Instagram, yeah.
cool guys,
Yeah.
jump
All
on
of that,
that.
all of that.
find 'em.
yeah, obviously.
Um,
Where can you find Noor?
Nurhan Sa on
How do you
Instagram.
spell
how do you
it?
spell
How
it?
do you spell
It's
it?
a-
And-
No one knows how to
funky.
spell it. It's a foreign
Yeah,
name.
bare
Oh
funky.
God.
Hey, can we let her spell it, please, guys? Come on.
NOURHANSAA.
Nice.
Hey.
And Asha, I
I
mean, you're now a regular guest, but let's tell them again. We've got new listeners.
So on Twitter, I'm average white girl with white spelled WYT, and on Instagram, I'm Asha H Gilbert.
Right.
Skirt.
Been meaning to
Lovely
ask you
stuff.
why you're called Average White Girl, but we'll get to that in another conversation.
We kind of
Oh, we
mentioned
should-
it last week, didn't you?
What's that?
Yeah,
Not
there's,
really.
a, there's
Yeah,
a funny
she
story
briefly
that went
touched on
along
it.
with it, but I'll save that for
Ooh.
another
Sarah
time.
for another time. You know me, Kofi. You can find me on Instagram at SBK Worldwide and on Twitter at K the Fixer. Yeah, guys, it's been great.
Thank
Izu.
you.
Thank you so much.
Guys, it's been fun. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Unplugged podcast. As I said before, you can follow us, this podcast on Instagram at Studio House P. There's a specific specialized highlight feature that we dedicated to the podcast, on which you can stay up to date with what we're doing here. We've also now on Twitter as well, the Unplugged podcast and everything. Also, do not forget, as Kofi mentioned, we've got a Spotify playlist curated specifically for the summer weather. So if you want to get them summer vibes, head over to Spotify and follow us. Again, Unplugged podcast. And remember, that's Unplugged with 3 G's. No eating. Peace.
Spread love.
Hey, man said my
Spread
part.
love, not hate.